This is Jake with Caleb and Eli, talking about our experiences with this West Marches approach to our original setting called Sol. Just kind of discuss how things went, how things are going, and how Sol has drastically changed from the West Marches approach, the normal West Marches approach. Caleb, have you ever been familiar with West Marches or what that is or anything like that?
No, I haven't.
You never played anything like that?
No.
Have
Nope.
you played D&D in the past, right?
D&D and World of Darkness and stuff like that in the past, yeah.
Did you hear about West Marches at any time during that?
No.
Okay. What about Eli? Have you ever had you ever done anything like this in the past?
Not exactly to the same effect as what we're doing here, but I've had big games where there was a lot of people involved.
You know, like LARPs and stuff like that?
Yeah, I've done LARPs and stuff like
I've
that
done
where
that before too.
LARPs?
where
Yeah.
you have multiple storytellers and a big overarching setting and different people doing different things in the setting and everything having consequences and different events popping off and things like that. So
Everyone's story kind of plays off each other.
Yep, and I've experienced that kind of gameplay before, but not in a traditional tabletop setting. It's always been in a LARP setting.
Yeah. Caleb, would you say in your LARP experience, is there a similarity?
Yeah, I mean the one thing that I've liked about it so much is that everybody's involved, everybody matters.
Right.
And what one person does on say Monday affects what the person, somebody else can do on Tuesday.
Yeah.
You know, so that makes a very big impact for everybody. So I mean, and you don't always know what somebody else is doing.
Right.
And so you come in to, do your session or you're expecting something to happen and
Yeah.
it's already been done or things went way awry on it, and then you're like, oh, I gotta pick up after this. Oh no.
That's happened quite a lot.
Yes,
I
quite
think
frequently.
There's always been situations where, and I love because everyone's character feels very treaded, like they've been through their own thing. So his character, they turned a mind flayer into a gnome, through a polymorph spell, and it ended up coming up in another game with other people, and no one else knew about the gnome mind flayer except for him. For them, it was just a creepy gnome that it was weird and different.
Yeah.
But once they found out about the gnome, Eli was able to be like, well, no, this is the backstory behind this guy. This is what happened to us. So there's sort of a legacy where your character has their own stories that they can bring to the table against whatever they're dealing with or similar situations. So.
And it came up organically in the session too, because even I didn't realize what that gnome was until way later in the session, right before Scott's character was about to undo the polymorph spell, because they thought that this gnome was just going crazy, because he was turned into a gnome from something else. And then when I realized what it was, and I said, wait, don't do that. This is that gnome that we turned, and we stopped him from making a big mistake, because then we would have had to fought a mind flayer in full power.
Yeah.
But we stopped him from doing that. And
That's probably super pissed off because he's been a gnome for weeks.
Oh yeah,
and
that was the whole game. The whole game was the gnome was showing so much aggression towards his character.
Yep, and I didn't even realize why. We thought it was just some feral gnome that was stuck out in the wilderness that was crazy. And then later on, I realized what the hell it was.
Finally put two and two together.
Yeah, yep. And then I'm
it was almost too late too.
Yeah,
it was
almost.
so
It almost
close.
was. It was really close to turning into a really bad situation.
And it could have been one of those. Scott does something, you go, oh, that's who that was.
Yeah,
oops. I could have stopped all of this.
Yeah. Luckily, I was able to.
The thing is, it had happened so early in the game, in Soul, that it was, I guess, over so much time had passed that it was okay to just forget, at the time.
Oh, he's not a problem anymore.
Yeah.
Because when we originally faced him, we turned him into a gnome. We didn't dispatch him and take him out. He ran away and disappeared.
But I also posted it on the forum as the gnome, saying that I need to hire wizards and his plan was he was going to eat a wizard's brain and use the spell of try to learn a wizard that had polymorph, eat his brain, and then cast it on himself so he could go back to his normal form. So he was just looking for a wizard.
Yeah, but that's a good example of how one event in a session can affect multiple different facets of the setting, like the gnome putting out a quest looking for wizards, and then him popping up in a whole nother session that I just happened to be on, luckily.
It's one of those, like, because if
I
hadn't happened to have been there,
then it would have been. There were other people that were involved too that could have been involved in that session, but they weren't. But like either way, like if none of those people that were involved would have been in that session, they could have ended up being a bad thing for the group that was dealing with them.
Or just even stuff.
Getting a trend with Scott, because that kind of happened to me too. Down in the dungeons, wasn't it?
Scott lost his marbles.
He lost his way a long time ago.
His character growth has been like, he started off, he was a jovial fat wizard, and now he's an anorexic emo, like sad,
hates everybody and everything.
Like the world has chewed him up and spat him out. Took his fatness.
He's still around.
Yeah, he's still. He's probably almost died. The one character that's probably almost died the most has been Gage, but I think Scott is a close second. You've almost died a couple. Caleb's almost died a couple times with Solomon.
Man, he did that about 4 times in a row one day, and I was like, what? Where did this come from? I have nothing. 2 months, 3 days in a row. Yeah, last breath. What is going on here?
I think
half of them were because of Gage too.
Yeah, it really depends on like who you have in your group that can cause
Yeah.
all these dangers. Probably like my characters, because I've had 2 so far. My characters have been pretty smart, or I've been playing them pretty smart to avoid bad situations. But then my first character was like,
I feel like the one time you had a lapse in judgment was the one time that Silex died.
Well, that was because he lashed out in emotion, and that was kind of my own player thing too, because I was like, because the situation was that Silex had hidden himself from the enemy, but he heard one of his buddies get killed by the enemy while he was hiding. Yeah. And he lashed out in anger when an opening presented itself, and that opening ended up going back on him, and he ended up getting killed because of it.
Yeah.
I've been fairly lucky with Solomon, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Like
for the most part, I mean, there's been a few.
But Solomon's been in some really dangerous situations. Like I think, comparatively, Solomon's probably been in some of the worst situations.
I'm glad I've been able to get out of them at least, and just being creative with his skills and abilities at least. And, sometimes one of the last sessions we had, and you had like magical proof armor on the guy, and I was like, but it doesn't burn through the eye holes. And so I cooked him. I
cooked him from the inside.
Used the immolator powers to do it from the inside versus the outside. And, so you just gotta sometimes think outside of the box, and it didn't turn out well for Scott's character, but that's okay.
I think I've noticed that since I've slowed down the game, there's been a lot less traffic on the forum. It's been a lot more quiet. Mm-hmm. But when we first started and we had all the game masters, there was a lot of talking. A lot of people were posting stuff.
There was a lot of engagement, because the games were happening very frequently, so people were they were fresh with everything that they wanted to do.
But you also take into account that like some of the stuff that's happened, or something that you may have heard about or seen. Like I've got a group in Toledo too. So they might do something that affects something that the Adrian group has to deal with, and vice versa. So even though we're going slow, in the last 2 weeks I've had over 15 different players playing in this kind of game. That's a lot of input from different people into one setting.
We have 30 people playing?
On and off. Give or take. I think it's probably closer to 25 or 26.
Yeah.
And that's still a substantial amount of players.
Yeah. Some people haven't played in a long time. And I think a lot of it has to do with scheduling and life.
But that's the whole point of this West Marches approach, is to be able to give people the opportunity to play whenever they can.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're going to have times where people are going to be playing way more than other people. They're going to be doing way more than other people just because they can play more.
Yeah.
But overall, the setting is expansive enough that people who don't play all that much can still go off and do something meaningful for themselves.
Even if it's like a small personal thing, like opening that inn, like they have an inn, you know, like that was a small minor adventure, but now that exists, it's a concrete thing in the world, and a lot of things have happened in that inn since you guys have created it.
Yep.
So like the stories, like we said, they all kind of like butterfly ripple affect each other. Or domino into each other.
Well, I mean,
sometimes.
it's the same thing with how we build the world too.
Right.
You know,
well, it's just
somebody may think that's a good idea at the time. You know, hey,
Yeah.
this could be really cool for our group, but the people following behind us, it's not going to be so cool for.
No bueno.
It's no bueno. Why did you put giant bees here?
It was a good idea.
It was a good idea at the time.
Well, that's another thing that my GM style is different than I think most D&D or the traditional West Marches approach. First of all, the traditional West Marches approach is they use D&D. I use Dungeon World. That's already different. Second, like West Marches is more about like exploration, but we've done a lot of high fantasy, like actual narrative stuff, where like you're going out and you're stopping and thwarting threats.
Yeah, I mean, like you could easily do that with a lot of these settings because it's all about putting little tidbits of problems around the world.
Yeah, and then
that people have
to solve.
So people have to go deal with, and you can make them static issues. Like there's a fort that's sitting over here on this cliff face that has this big horrible golem that is inside of it that's guarding this treasure, and that doesn't affect anything other than that immediate area.
Right.
But then, like in the setting we have, where we have all of these problems that are constantly growing worse as time passes because people aren't dealing with them, like the corrupted vines of the Olshmicard and the
island,
you know, the Okinos Islands and the demon Red Crow that resides there, and then you have like the drow there going around trying to gather these goblets. And,
do you feel like there's a little bit
like
too
the
much?
Knoll threat sometimes.
No, I don't think.
the
I don't think there's a bit too much. I think there's just enough.
Okay.
For people to handle, because we have a lot of people that want to do different things.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is having all these different problems. So we have like people that could go focusing on the Red Crow situation, people that wanted to focus on the Olshmicard situation, people that wanted to focus on Savarese and all the Drow. The dwarves, which are now the biggest, or the dark dwarves are now the biggest problem that is facing the community of Sol.
Right.
You know, where we have an impending war with them.
Yeah.
And then we have like all the outliers, like the goblins and the gnolls, and you know, your typical D&D fare when it comes to issues outside.
I think what's really cool is like players take what they want from the setting. So like you have people like Tim and Perkle who push very strongly towards completing like very goal object like oriented tasks, whereas like other people, let's say like Solomon for example, or Gage, Ryan, like they're okay with just sort of exploring the world and seeing what exists out there, and then kind of formulating a plan after that, like without biting into what's immediately in the area.
Yep.
So like
that's the cool.
Yeah,
thing
there's
about
those immediate threats, but I mean, you know, I helped create the map the other day on the computer, which was really cool. I got that nice map editor, which was really fun, and I'm looking at it. I go, man, I've been going north a lot with Solomon. Like primarily, that's all I've done. I think I did one trip west.
Yeah.
And 9 trips north, none south, nothing else. Like I've literally just been northbound, and I'm looking at the map and I'm like, to the northwest, literally of our 25 people, nobody has gone.
No one has explored.
And
like
people gravitate towards places that they have information about, like there's a mine up north, we need to go see what's there. Oh, there's a city down south, we need to go see what's there. There's a whole
because like Brad Cooley, his character Uller, because Brad's not really tied into everything that's going on because he finds it a little overwhelming. He is completely fine with just exploring, and a lot of the shit that's been found or seen has been him and a group of people just going in that direction and finding new stuff.
Yeah, and there are times where people will go in certain directions for a specific goal, find something completely different than what they wanted, and then they completely segue into something else. Like that one mission where it was me, my little brother, and Brad, who were all going on a mission to help the councilman Omar, who was a councilman at the time.
You tried to do his mission.
We tried to do his mission, and then we found some crazy stuff that happened in the woods while we were traveling to where he wanted to go.
You found a succubus.
Yeah, we found a succubus, and then we ended up
trying to trick you, and you ended up not falling for it.
We exposed her, and then we decided, okay, this is probably a bigger threat than that we need to deal with, and Omar's mission can wait.
Yeah.
So instead, we went and tracked her down, and we discovered a few different little areas while we were tracking her down, like the black spire that was there.
Yep.
And, some like hobbit holes on the hillside kind of situations that we saw.
You explored a whole segment of the world that hadn't been explored until you guys decided to look for it.
Right. Exactly. And that wasn't even intended. That was just decided on a whim when we ran into this succubus.
But there's also, you're seeing the world constantly change as well. So even the stuff that you think that used to be there, like that will change as well. So like there was this giant destroyed iron Etten thing that just existed near the world. I'm not sure if you ever came across it.
I went past where it was, I think, at one point.
By that point it had
already left. But we were like, because we had a player-drawn map.
Yeah.
That wasn't very good. But
I don't think any of them are very.
Mine was pretty close.
Yeah, yours is
mine
pretty
was
spot
pretty
on.
close.
Your
like
player-drawn one? Or
my player-drawn one is pretty
player-drawn,
close.
Okay.
Not like 100%, but I'd say 70% maybe. It's not bad. Like I feel like I could make my way around the world with what I've drawn.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
To the north.
To the north that you know.
Since you've only been there.
But if I go anywhere else, like I'm relying on other people's information
Yeah.
or going with them and going, where am I? But, I'm looking at my map, like even just my own, and going, there was a bunch of those big corrupted vines at one point, and, I was gone for 3 or 4 days. I come back and somebody had taken care of them, and there's this giant canyon there. And I'm like, well,
I ran that session that happened in when we had multiple GMs.
So I'm sitting there as a character going, what happened here? Because we have that Facebook stuff too, and nobody had posted about it.
Yeah.
And so it's a complete shock as a character because nobody bothered to say, hey, this is what we did.
Yeah.
I think that's where some stuff with at least our group of players could be a little better.
Is the communication on the forum.
But then again, there are situations like that canyon that appeared where it wasn't before was the direct result of a powered energy releasing itself from underneath.
Right.
And something like that would have been something like I feel like everybody in the region would have felt like an earthquake kind of situation, and people would have had an inkling of something just happened, but nobody really knew.
Which is why I started doing the little news reports.
Yeah, and those are cool.
Weekly news report.
It kind of gives people.
I don't tell exactly what happened, but I give
I think one of the last ones I was looking, I was like, wait, what happened? Because I think my guy.
Yeah.
Was up in the north doing something when something popped out of the ground and shook Seoul for half a day kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there reading the post going,
it was in the sky. It was something. It was something in the sky that caused it.
And those news reports are great because.
But I'm sitting there trying to ask other players, going, "What happened?" Because. Why is everybody freaking out? Because I have no idea what's going on.
And that's cool because there are players that know what some of this stuff is, and other players don't. Like the Toledo crew knows what that crazy thing that shook Seoul because they directly dealt with it, but nobody else knows about it.
Right.
You know, but that's where I think that forum stuff could have come in play, where they could have responded to the post and gone, "Hey, if people are wondering what this is what happened," and. I think just some of that communication.
But then again, some players want to keep that information to themselves because they don't want to
And you see that a lot.
Well, I'm the same way.
They feel oh well, this is my stuff. I'm going to keep it to myself, and then
And some of them don't have I have 5 members in this that don't have access to Facebook or don't use Facebook.
Yeah, there's that.
Brother.
Yeah,
there's that
some
too.
People from Toledo are like that.
But I think Facebook's a good nexus for that kind of communication.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good. It's a good medium to keep everything contained.
Yeah,
I think so because you have you can make a page or a group where you can make those posts all the different areas. You have like the north and the south and the east and the west and Seoul and the tavern and all that stuff where people can post different things.
Yeah.
And then you have, chats that you can have with specific people that you want to have chats with.
Yeah.
It's just a good medium.
I've enjoyed like all these because like if you look at the map, I can look at the map and see everything that I've drawn and be like that I know what every story that had something there from like even the stories I had nothing to do with like with Gray's Crossing, like I know what happened there, I know who was a part of it, I know about the chasm, like so like looking at the map I can see like it's almost like I'm reading a whole like little
reading a book.
Yeah, because like I know exactly what has happened in each of these locations.
History of our mist.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at it too and go, I mean, we see the boundaries of stuff and go, I know there's a whole land above these mountains,
right,
that not a single player has made it to yet.
Yeah.
But we're on the verge of getting there.
Yeah.
Like
Perkle's took a glimpse.
His bird caught a glimpse and just kind of was like, there's a ton of crap over there.
There's a ton of crap.
It's like there's more than just mountains over the mountains.
They're just mountains. They're not just pointy hills over these pointy hills.
Yeah, because his bird got a glimpse of another city on the other side of that.
Oh, okay.
But we also, and Solomon would know this because I was with him at the time, and I'm pretty much halfway through the mountains at this point. So like, on the verge of my character, like I'm almost there.
That was the mission where you, Joby, Jeff, and Ian.
You had something with succubuses that week or something. I don't know.
She wasn't a succubus, but she was a dragon wench.
Okay.
Dragon.
She was a dragon priestess, like a dark dragon god, and you guys.
Dispatched with her quite brilliantly, if I have to say so myself.
Masculine poise and grace.
Like, there's this one woman and like 4 dudes walk up and are like, "Hey, pretty lady, how's it going?"
Through sheer awkwardness,
it's just she's like, "What is going on here? We're here to have fun with you."
It was you, Joby, Jeff, Perkle, and
so.
Ian.
Yeah, Ian was there. Yeah.
So Jeff died that.
Jeff died spectacularly instead of losing limbs.
Yeah.
Which I heard was his penchant.
Yeah.
Characters.
Every time he's gone out, played a ranger, he's had something ripped from him.
Perkle's running completely in the opposite direction, and the rest of us are like, "Okay, bye.
See you later.
Good luck.
Deal with that boss on your own.
Deal with that this little imp demon on your own. We'll take care of boss lady over here."
I think and that's another thing is like you can, and like I've gone out for drinks with like Gage and all of them after the game, and like they took other people who have had different experiences, and it almost feels like a tavern effect. You talk about what your guy's gone through.
Yeah.
And it's not like there's always
the Legend of Dunny.
When you play this game, like what your character has done literally can affect what they have done, and then you'll be like, yeah, and then we saw this treasure trove, and they're like, oh, there's a treasure trove over there. So now they're like,
not anymore because I took it all, you son of a gun.
Yeah. Well, there's like,
you think I just left it? There was a treasure trove there.
There's piles of treasures in this world that like people had only so much room of stuff to grab. So like,
or a certain amount of time.
Oh, time, yeah. So like, there was a whole adventure with Ted Bender, Miranda, and Josh, where they found this unburied this treasure in the north, and basically, but they left it open. so it was like by the time people got back to it, it had been already
grabbed and
pillaged.
Well, that's kind of, I bought that map. Like,
yeah.
I'm kind of excited to see that, like if there's actually anything there or.
Right. I think that's gonna be because that's gonna be like a voyage adventure.
Yeah, that's gonna be a.
But now that I know about talking about the city over the north, now that's got me curious.
Because you never known anything, like because he was a GM for the longest time. And
it's one of those like it's never really been mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like when this first started, I was helping him as a GM kind of craft the world, and that wasn't something that we like fleshed out. That was something fleshed out after. Jake went back to being the sole DM.
This is another difference between our West Marches and this is is like how I run the games is when I say stuff like, all right, tell me something interesting you find, or like most people when they do West Marches, they have every nitty gritty detail kind of mapped out, but I have enough like of an understanding of the world where it's just like if something doesn't mesh or coalesce, and it's rarely been the case, I'll veto the idea because it doesn't make sense. But for the most part, when people add ideas, they're really building this world with me. So I'm exploring the world with them.
Right.
As you guys are going on. So there's a forest of faces that is literally just northwest of Seoul. No one's ever been there.
Yeah.
Except for like 3 people. Just a forest of faces.
And the same thing with me. Like I've gone northwest, but not like northwest.
Directly northwest.
Which, there could be something over there that.
Well, as you can see, there's literally nothing here on this map.
I know.
So
I know, because when that was kind of what it was like when I was making it. I was
mountains and some forests, and for all we know, there could be a giant fishing village of dragon people that are just having fun and nobody knows about.
They're like, oh, maybe we'll help you.
Yeah, like nobody knows. Nobody goes
Nobody knows.
A lot of people in this game are goal oriented, so they're focused on the things that are happening instead of just going out and looking for random stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's where some things, like if there's been this area that's been so untouched, like as a player, like I could, hey, 100 gold to the group that goes and checks this area out, and I, since I'm the one, sanctioning this quest, I get a cut of the whatever you find.
There hasn't been a lot of that, really.
But once you start back up on that, I may do something like that.
That sounds awesome. They'd like promote people to go out and just explore things.
All right, well, I think we've touched on a lot of cool stuff. I think this has definitely been an interesting conversation. We'll probably wrap it up right here, but like next time, I figure like this is kind of like a game diary. Like, so I want to like talk to a bunch of different players and give me their perspective and see where they've come from. I think that this is I think for the most part, even if we were to end it soon, I think that this has been successful and worthwhile. Yeah. Like just with everything that's happened, I've really enjoyed running it. So
yeah, I think it's
I've
great.
really enjoyed playing in it because, like we've mentioned before, it's an ever building place, and it's not like, like we keep talking about to the northwest of Seoul. It's like you don't even know what's there yet.
All right, well, thanks guys. We'll finish up right here.
No problem.
Anyone listening, have a good day.